Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Again, I welcome Chris Taylor back onto the channel for God knows how many times we've spoken on the Nightly's Roundtable and on the YouTube channel, but you're back. We've got value to offer and we're diving into LinkedIn. It's a very hot topic right now. We're going to go into a little bit more depth when it comes to raising finance. So if you are someone that wants to use LinkedIn, you want to tap into the right people, we might end up doing a bit of a series like this. I've got a few videos that are certainly going to follow because LinkedIn is the place to be if you're looking to start a business and perhaps you need some capital. So it's all about finance. Chris, welcome back to the channel, mate. It's good to have you here again.
I appreciate it. I think the last one we did went down quite well on LinkedIn. So yeah, it's good to be back, and I'll talk about LinkedIn all day long, mate. I absolutely love the platform. So yeah, let's get into it.
Awesome. Cool. Well, just for the audience, to give some sort of context to what we're going to talk about today, we're going to look at the keyword search. This is something that many people perhaps don't know about, but actually how valuable it is and how far you can reach with the keyword search. I talk about a lot of that in my book and everything like that, so it's very powerful. We're going to dive into that. We're then going to just talk about some case studies on actually how it's worked for me and Chris, and then we're going to look at techniques and little salesy, I suppose, posts and everything like that you can create your own funnel to then go on to raise venture capital or property finance, whatever it might be. So to kick things off, Chris, how powerful is the keyword search if you get it right?
It's everything, really. I think when you actually look at this, Boolean search is something which nobody really tends to talk about when it comes to LinkedIn, especially when you look at tutorials online on YouTube or you look at it on the platform itself from LinkedIn coaches. It's something that tends to be avoided. But one of the things that I noticed when I was searching through the certain job titles that I was looking for back in the property days, when I was looking to actively raise finance, was that when I was typing in sales director and location, right? So I was looking for sales directors in London. What it would give me is people that have either got sales director in their name or they're from London. So what basically happened was it wasn't a clear enough search. And therefore what was going on was I was actually populating my lists with people that weren't my exact ideal target market. Now, when you understand how search works with Boolean search and you're actually linking the terms together, so it's sales director and in London, just a little thing like that. And again, there's different things that we can go into in this, I'm sure. But by linking that, my search results became so much more optimized in the way they were working. So now the difference between having proactive prospecting conversations and actually just ending up talking to the wrong people.
Yeah, it's one of the only, so you hit the nail on the head, it's one of the only platforms that you can really actively actually go find your customer. If you have time, you can really sort of niche down to who you're looking for. Now, my 2 pence on the keyword search and my experience is when I started raising finance is that a lot of people will always look for the generic names, won't they? So if they go into property, they type property investor, and the problem is that you will bring up everyone who is just within that industry, but perhaps from minimal experience to just starting to people who've been in the game for a long time. So it's so hard to find the right person you're looking for. But if we're focusing on raising finance, then actually we want to be looking for your doctors, your dentists, your consultants who run an agency, freelancers who are high paid, high earners, and there are several resources that you can use. Actually, I'll dig them out and I'll include them in the link below in the description, is that you can see who is a high paid earner, and those are your, I suppose, potential clients, customers, if you will, and who you might want to work with. So how important is it that we're not just looking for that generic name? If we want an angel investor, I promise you we're not going to be searching angel investor, really, are we?
No, we're not. And again, well, to be fair, you can find the odd one. The likelihood of them responding is minimum because at the end of the day with it, they're being inundated with everybody else that's doing the same thing that you immediately thought. Yeah. So when we were doing this, and I know we both have done very similar things on this, it's thinking outside the box slightly. So I was actually, rather than thinking of the job title right straight away with like property investor, I was thinking actually what were the attributes that would make up somebody that would be willing to invest? And I thought of it being someone that's ambitious, somebody that isn't just willing just to sit around and do nothing, somebody that's going after it and actually wants to earn some money. That was like my ideal avatar. And I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, what types of people were fitting that demographic. And I automatically defaulted to salespeople because I'm like, I was a salesperson. I was hungry. I was wanting more. And what I then linked that with was something that we mentioned in the previous video as well, which people are 100% should go and watch. One of the things we mentioned was somebody that didn't have enough time. So that sales director was the one that I hinted at, because I knew that they wanted money. They would not be in the role that they were in if they didn't want cash, but they also wouldn't have the time to be able to start building up a portfolio for themselves. So I used that to my advantage to be able to start conversations, again, not to sell somebody something, but just to get a conversation going. And even better thing with salespeople is that they're on LinkedIn looking for business. So they're active as well. So that was my little tactic that I went out when I first started.
You've got to be different as well. And like you just said there, you can't be generic. If you are going to prospect, one thing that I found, Chris, was, and for anyone listening, is don't be that person that, and follow this formula, is that, let's say I connect with Chris today, right now, 5 minutes later, Chris receives a DM from me, which is a 200-word intro. Chris knows instantly that I haven't just typed that. I've not made it personal to you. So anyone, if you're going to connect and you really think that could be a prospect, give it a day. Or make it a warm message. You know, hi Chris, just wanted to touch base, checked out your profile, saw you were involved in such and such. Just wondered if I could run a couple of things by you. All the best, speak soon. Something a little bit shorter, a little bit more compact, a little bit more personal. So that's really important. And moving on to something that's very interesting, which you get with LinkedIn and you don't anywhere else, for raising finance. If I'm going to approach Chris and I really think that Chris could have some cash in his pocket, I need to know that. I certainly want to feel comfortable that before I approach you, I really nail this on the head. I can check you out, Chris, what company you run, are you a director, what you're involved in. I can read through your bio. I get so much more information than I do from Instagram, Facebook or Twitter. I can really have a background about you. And then what can I do? I can check you out on Companies House. And lo and behold, Chris turns over 2.5 million a year. Have you done similar techniques like that as a background?
Yeah, well, LinkedIn's a great research tool. That's what I love about it, because it give you, especially for people that are using it actively, it gives you the real breakdown of everything. So you've got hobbies, you've got interests, you've got the about section, you've got all of their previous experience, you've got mutual connections. So LinkedIn, the hardest thing that you can do is get a response from somebody. So what you want to do is put enough information at the front end, gather enough of it, so you can then be able to send something which someone's going to react to. So the Companies House thing I also love is, like, you can find the company that they're a part of. And if they are a director, and if they are filing their accounts on time, and it's not delayed like so many other businesses seem to do these days, if their account's on there, you can see their performance. So yeah, I think it's a fascinating way to be able to really identify if the person that you're looking to start a conversation with is, as we say, I guess, worth it in the most efficient way.
Yeah. And what techniques can we use to actually draw in those angel investors, those property investors? What can we do if you want to share a few that perhaps you've done, Chris, and then I'll sort of share a few of mine?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different ways. So with prospecting, so for those people that probably don't know, I am a part of a LinkedIn agency. So we prospect actively for people. So there's 8 different campaigns that you can technically run when you're prospecting. And each different campaign will actually give you a different result. So the ones that I run on mine are very much value driven. So especially when I was looking to raise money, I was trying to identify why on earth an investor would want to work with me. I'm relatively young, inexperienced really when it comes to it compared to probably everyone else that they could work with. What would it be that would enable me to stand out? So what I basically did was have a document, and then with a video that I'd used to send. So I used to grab their attention by sending a video message. So it's just, hey, look, personalized every single time. I'm reaching out to you just to basically start a relationship. Again, there's no worries if you don't want to respond whatsoever, but below just summarizes exactly what it is that we do. If any of it is interesting, please do let me know. But it would be great to find out a little bit more about what you do whenever you get a moment. Not many people seem to send messages and talk on LinkedIn. I like to be a little bit different and actually have a conversation. So that was something that I did. And even if they responded or they didn't respond, I was just trying to get it opened, because what happens is when you can get it opened, it triggers the algorithm that they're interested in you. And at that point, your content can then start doing the talking for you. And obviously my biggest thing is content. I love getting myself out there. I really showcase what we do. And I know that we were better than a lot of the people that they were probably talking to doing something else with. So my content was very much social proof, showcasing the returns that we were generating people, not to pitch and try and raise money. It was just evidence. It was just, look, this is the deal that we've done. This is what we've did. This is what, and what happened was those messages that we sent that got ignored at the front end, suddenly we were starting to get responses back because they started to see that we were the real deal. And I think that overall strategy there worked really, really well for us.
Yeah, amazing points there. And what I would say as well, when you're contacting people and you're prospecting, there's something that I know this has come up all the time when people are speaking with me on one-to-one, is that how do I open a conversation with someone who's not even in the industry or even painting that picture that they might be an investor? Because that's the hard part, is how do you pitch to someone that just has dentists? Let's just use that for example. Well, there's a couple of techniques that I would use, and I'll use Chris you use as the example. Let's just say Chris is health and safety or a dentist, whatever industry you're in. I would just touch base, drop that message, and actually just say, hi Chris, just touching base, had a look over your profile, looks awesome. Just wanted to know, as I have a few clients already who are in your industry, in your space, that are quite interested in passive investments, just wanted to touch base if that was also something within your interest. So sort of relating perhaps already working customers that you have to the same industry, and that's an opener. Or again, going back to, and I'll include our previous video below and I'll pop it up on the screen somewhere, is that we spoke about building a bit of a relationship around perhaps endorsements. Who do I know that's endorsed Chris? And can I funnel through that person and say, hey, saw that you endorsed Chris, we've known each other for a while, can you introduce me? To take out that cold sale and little things like that. Moving on to, because this is a big one at the moment, I don't know if many people have really unlocks the power of it. I know you have. We spoke before. I think one of your biggest polls was over 80,000. Was it 80,000 views? You had over 1,000 votes. The voting system right now, I mean, I'm doing one a day and I'm getting at least 2,000 views on each of them with 40 to 50 votes. I think my highest was 160 votes. How powerful at the moment is that voting poll system to identify your customer?
It's a bit ridiculous, really, at the moment. Like, it is almost like a cheat code on LinkedIn right now. And some people are like moaning about them, like they're fed up with their newsfeed being full of them. However, they still then go and engage with them, which is amazing. So with polls right now, the reason why they're flooding the timeline is because they're so easy to engage with. And therefore, each specific vote is pushing that content further. Now, it's about asking the right questions in polls, I find, and actually keeping it on topic, which is where I get the best results. So the one that reached the 85,000, I think it's at 90,000 people now. It's still growing today. It's like 2 months old. It's still growing now. People are still going through my profile and seeing it. They're not voting anymore because it's expired, but they're still seeing the content. But what's happening is that the poll has been asked in such a way that people then want to find out more about what we do. So we ask questions, and I think that one was specifically like, have you ever filled out a contact us form on a website? And then what I basically said is, I think they're completely and utterly pointless. And then everyone else has either agreed or disagreed with me. Obviously, my profile was optimized in a right way, which basically says I'm a LinkedIn marketer. This is what I specialize in. This is what we do. Social selling is our thing. So what happens is people then, off the back of that poll, even though that poll isn't directly related to social selling, they see all of my other social selling content and LinkedIn content, and they click follow. So that then starts building out my account. So polls are just, bearing in mind, they're getting so much algorithm attention right now. They're getting such a push. If they're not part of your content strategy, even if you could just do one a week, you're going to get a much increased amount of views on that piece of content compared to any other content type that you could put out right now.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, and note this down because you will see it firsthand, one thing I've really noticed is occasionally, although I'm not actively looking for the business, is one thing I've noticed is I do put some polls around the kind of business that I work in. One thing I've really noticed, Chris, and to anyone watching this, really listen into this and take note of this voting system, is that if you put a question with multiple options similar to the business that you're involved in or the customers and clients you're looking for. So for example, I put up a recent poll on what would you like to see as an investment return. it's very interesting. I think I put, what would you like to see as an investment return for 50,000 investment? And then what you can do is when you get those results, not only does it open conversation, it allows them to interact with you. So they've engaged. So there's some interest there of that specific topic, hopefully the business that you're involved in, but also look at the titles of people. You know, I'm seeing health and safety executive, you know, agency, PR agency, director of haulage company, you know, and you've asked that question. Well, I've asked that question of what would you do with £50,000 investment? And we're getting answers not from property investor or angel investor, we're getting from normal people. So then there's a pattern. So now there's an opening for conversation. You know, hi David, I saw that you commented on or voted on my 50,000 investment. Just out of curiosity, what is it that, you know, is your preferred investment, and are you actually actively looking? Do you see what I mean? So isn't that so powerful at the moment?
It starts a conversation, doesn't it? And this is the thing with anything that's social media, not just LinkedIn, but everything. Like, the content that we create isn't made to generate leads. That's not what it's there for. It's not there to give us immediate business. It's to start conversation. Conversation is then what generates business, because even if that person that you message isn't ready right now, his best mate down the pub might be, and you're the person that's reached out and he's responded to because he's had something that he's related to you with, and therefore that relationship's begun. And I think this is where I think LinkedIn is so powerful, because of the way that network works, is the fact that not every single person that you're going to come into contact with, and I'm sure I mentioned this in the other video, but the likelihood of them being ready to work with you right now is literally like 1 in a million. However, if you start adding more and more people into your network, getting them in there and start building these relationships from polls, that getting those votes in, what happens is that, yes, you may hit that 1 in a million at some point, but also all of their friends and all of their network, they also start to see what you're producing. And then suddenly you've got access to a bigger poll. So if you connect with me or Aaron, me or you right now, right? I've got 8,500. You've got a few thousand connections as well. Like, if people connect with us, they get access to our network. I mean, how many valuable people have we got in our networks? Like, just by clicking one button and then sending a message and engaging in content, you get access to all of these people. It's so simple, but people don't seem to understand it. And therefore, this is why I love doing what we're doing now, right? It's making people aware, because this stuff is not rocket science. It's just relationship building 101 in an online capacity. That's it.
Yeah, and you don't know what you don't know, and that's why we're doing these videos, and I'm sure we'll do a few more to come and really dive into LinkedIn for this year. And I'm going to go, I think what we should do is offer like a top tip on how to perhaps pitch or get your voice out there to potential investors, but it is hard to know exactly where they are. So how can you do that on the mass? And I'll go first, and this is a top tip from me, is that if you haven't already got a landing page or a domain that has the option to sign up to a newsletter or a subscription where someone can drop their email, and if you're not saving emails already, the bonus of LinkedIn, set yourself a target each week, is people put their emails on LinkedIn. It's open, it's there to the public. I'll normally take that email, pop it onto my newsletter subscription, build up your newsletter. And what I do, Chris, is that I will try and obtain, whether that's through Instagram, LinkedIn, try and get as many emails as you can off the people that you think are potential investors, angel investors, or funds, or whoever you're contacting. And then what I do, Chris, I stick them in my newsletter, and then occasionally in the newsletter, I will stick out a brief overview of what I do, the opportunities, and how I can work with someone. That way I'm not cold selling to an individual, but I know that individual's on that newsletter, and obviously I can track if they've opened that up. So that's kind of a mass way to get your voice out there to potential investors that you're not quite confirmed yet. Is there anything sort of you do to get your voice out there and target it?
Yeah, so mine's very much value driven, very similar to what you've said there, actually. Mine's very much value driven, and I've not always been good at video, right? I was once very, very bad. I'm now kind of okay, but I still want to get better. But what I would do is I find video really, really engaging, and I know that I can give value when it comes to investment. I can't offer financial advice because that's not who I am. That's not what I'm able to do. But what I do every single year, and I send this out to my database, it's not on my YouTube channel, because the YouTube channel is very much LinkedIn and Instagram and social selling focused. However, if I had an investment channel, I would definitely do it. And I would do a video, which is like my top 5 predictions for 2022 around the finance industry and investment. And I would give that out there and say, where am I looking to focus and where am I looking to go? And if people are interested, then to check the description and send us a message to have conversations, because I love having conversations. And then what I do is, once that video is recorded and out there, it doesn't have to go onto YouTube. It can go anywhere. It can just sit on a Vimeo library. Again, get the link. And then in my message, when I'm sending it out to people, I go, look, hey, I don't mean to bother you. It's a completely random message. Just looking to build my network and get to know people in my local area or wherever it is that I'm looking to connect with them from. I thought I'd just share. I've created a video which is all around my property predictions for 2022. I've been investing for a number of years. If you find that interesting, the link's there. No pressure whatsoever. If you ever want to have a conversation around this stuff, without anything whatsoever, just drop me a message. I'll happily get to know you a little bit more. Thanks for connecting. Speak to you soon. Hasta la vista. Bye. Like something so simple, but then if I can get the click onto the video, which again you track, so you can put, if you go onto YouTube and you type in smart link, Aaron, let's do a video on smart links. Make sure we talk about smart links next time. But you can create a smart link and it basically tells you, it's a LinkedIn feature, but you basically, whoever clicks on that smart link, it then tells you in a list who has clicked it and how long they've then spent on it. So what I would then do is, if someone has clicked that link and spent longer than a minute on it, I know they've watched the video. I know they're watching the video, and then I can follow up 2 weeks later on with it. So just by creating a piece of content with a smart link embedded on it, what you can then start to do is realize who's interested and who's not. And from that, you then got a pipeline that you can start to work. So that'll be my top tip.
Yeah, and also as we sort of come to a close is the importance of recording your database. So having some way of tracking this metric, because essentially it is a sort of metric. So if you're contacting people, have some way of tracking what you're doing. So just to give you a bit of an insight to how I track my investors is I have something called stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. And let's just say, again, Chris, I'll use you as an example. We've spoke, I know that you have an investment interest. I have a rough idea of what you're looking for and potentially a budget of what you're looking for. You automatically go into stage 1 until we get close to completing a deal. Then I move you to stage 2. Once we've done a deal, you're stage 3. So it's very important as well as you're connecting and you're contacting people and you're going through the keyword and you're doing all these funnel techniques is a way of tracking it. Because look, if you do this day in, day out and you've contacted 30, 40 people, 100 over a week, how do you know who was who and what you need to be looking for? So kind of what's your final takes on having a good database, a tracking system?
Oh, a very, very good segue into it, because we're just releasing, I'll give you free access to this so you can test it out. It's something that's hot off the press. Literally, we're going through final versions of testing at the moment, but we've got our own CRM that we use internally at the moment. So for every message that we send, we take the URL and we stick it in, and then it tracks it. It tracks the message, it tracks the response rate. It will then give you reporting of how many messages how many connection requests that you've sent, how many have been accepted, how many messages that you've sent, how many have been read, and then how many have been opened and how many have been ignored. Tracks it all. It's a portal that we're going to be releasing for free at some point anyway, but we currently use this internally. So it's our own portal. It's absolutely key because, again, with the LinkedIn inbox, the way that it works, yes, you can use Sales Nav to be able to get a more accurate reading of it, but not everybody wants to pay £70 a month to be able to just keep track of who they're sent messages to. So what we basically have is the portal, which we track every single lead that comes through. And a lead is just a conversation started. So we're only starting conversations with people that look like people that are interested in working with us. Then that then moves. And again, it just goes from temperature. So throughout a pipeline, we have different temperatures, depending on whether they're cold, warm, or hot. And again, from that, they get moved through and they'll get different correspondence because it's all tagged. It all works for the tagging functionality. Depending on the temperatures there are, they'll get different sequences that go through from a communications point of view. So for us, data is literally everything. We live and die by it. So whether it's content, whether it's prospecting, database building, it's absolutely crucial. And I know I didn't tell you about that before because literally I was on a call about a couple of hours ago going through it. So I'll let you have access to it when we get it.
Awesome. Well, as we come to a close, I hope that this information, like I say, we'll probably do more of these videos to really sort of make it almost like a series and we can put it all together and we'll have it on both of our channels. What I will say to finish off, for anyone starting a business, getting into property, regardless of your experience, there's a lot of money on LinkedIn, isn't there? I promise you, there's a lot of people willing to lend money, regardless of your experience, as long as you have that communication and that relationship. It literally comes down to slowly catch a monkey situation. It's that build up over a long period of time, have the coffees, have the dinners. But Chris, there is a lot of money out there, isn't there, just as we finish?
Opportunity is huge. Again, getting social media free attention isn't easy right now, right? On any other platform, it's really tough. On LinkedIn right now, you can get free leads every single day. How do I know it? Go check my profile, look at the comments on my posts. People are reaching out and asking to work with us. The same goes for the property industry. It's exactly the same. You do it right, people will naturally come to you. It's just about portraying you in the right way. And I remember speaking about it at your round table. It's like, are you presenting yourself as the best version of you online or the most boring version of you online? Choose to be the best version. It'll be amazing how many leads you start to generate. But LinkedIn is the place right now for business on social media. I've used every single platform. I've got 40,000 followers on Instagram, but I spend all my time on LinkedIn. There's a reason for it. It's huge, absolutely huge.
It's where the money is. So go get the money, build those relationships. They're out there. And until next time, Chris, where can people reach out to you if they want to discuss more on this topic or even more about what you do?
Yeah, so we'll try and tag us in this time. Now my name's findable on YouTube, but the YouTube channel Chris Taylor Online is the place to find me. If you want to send me a message or anything like that, LinkedIn or Instagram, you'll find my contact details on my channel or in the description of this, I'm sure. Again, I answer every question that comes through, whether it's in content or directly back to you. Those places, typical places: LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube.
Awesome. Well, what I'll try and do, we did have some trouble tagging you in. I'll go back on that video, see if we can tag you in, and you will be tagged in the description below. And for anyone wanting to know more information about actually where to find high net worths, I do have a book. I'll pop it up on the screen before we close off. And until next time, Chris, we'll speak soon. And thanks for everyone who has watched. See you soon. Cheers.